Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Georgia and today I'm going to be watching episode 5 of Extraordinary Attorney Woo. If you want access to my uncut reactions, link to the Patreon page will be in the description below. Last episode we got much more of an insight into how Kdrama and Woo became friends. We saw their high school life, which was not a nice watch. They were both outsiders and loners. Kdrama was labelled a psycho because she flipped out on people when they would bully Woo, and she kind of proved that she's a tough person. And then Woo was bullied due to being different, and they bonded over that, and I'm so happy that they had each other during that terrible time. The case was very interesting. Kdrama's father had been stiffed out of money pretty much. He'd signed a deal in which he got less money than his brothers and also had to pay all of the tax, leaving him in debt. And his brothers had lied about an inheritance law and it was a whole shebang, but Woo managed to pull it off for them. And I love that Attorney Jung kind of used this case in order to get her back in the firm. He didn't process her resignation, I think because he didn't want her to go, and so he was waiting for her to come back, and he used that as an excuse and was like, oh, you still work here, you've just had a lot of absences, so as this is an urgent case you will be taking this one, because he knew that she couldn't leave this case hanging out there. It's her best friend. She was going to do it if no one else did. He's quite crafty and cunning, and I love that he did that for her because he knows that she is a good lawyer and she's a valuable part of their team, and he likes her too. So, and everyone seemed to be so happy that she was back, besides Attorney Kwon. Now, I've been told not to hold my breath on what I was saying about Attorney Kwon at the end of the last episode. I thought it was a pipe dream anyway. It's just what I would like to happen. I'd love for there to be a moment of realization and a redemption arc for him where he learns from Woo and grows as a person, but I mean, not everyone is like that. I kind of did think he would be a villain in this story, and it looks like he's going to be based on what people are saying, so you know, I can dream. This episode, it looks like there's going to be some beef between Woo and Attorney Kwon, so I'm sure my hatred for him will skyrocket this episode. Also at the end, we finally saw what happened when the CEO of Hanbada met up with Woo's father. It turns out that happened before Woo was even hired, which is crazy. So she got turned down at first, and she was getting turned down by a load of law firms because of her autism. And then she noticed her and came to Woo's father to tell her to reapply and that she'll accept her. It's a bit dodgy to me. I've always thought the CEO seemed like a nice person because of the way she's been acting towards her, but that seems fishy to me. Does she gain something out of this? Not just an incredible lawyer, but it seems like she's tried so hard to get her back, but for a reason I don't know.
올 한 해 ATM 관련 횡령만 총 42건, 그리고 그 피해 금액은 100억이 넘습니다. 이런 여러분들의 고민, 이와 ATM이 해결해 드리겠습니다. 감쪽같이 속는 겁니다.
This sounds like gibberish to me. I have no idea what they're talking about.
새로운 카세트를 만들자. 담당자가 300장을 넣겠다고 입력을 해놓고.
He seems like an honest man, but if he's pitching an idea to people, that's not necessarily the case.
299장을 넣으면
He's got to come across honest.
들어오죠.
리더스 제품에도 있었어요. 작년에 전량 리콜됐던 그 모델 있죠?
Awkward? Not quite an original idea.
금강 ATM에도 똑같은 기술이 있는데 기계값도 싸. 그럼 뭐 별 수 있나? 금강이랑 계약해야지. 이 기술의 원조가 누구냐? 그거는 우리 관심사는 아니니까.
Oh, that's actually very sad. If it was his idea, but I'm not sure.
아직도 말 안 했냐? 내가 이럴 줄 알았다. 명섭 변호사님이 너한테 전화해서 얘기하려는 걸 권민호 변호사가 말리더라고. 자기가 말하겠다고. 상했는데 역시 말 안 했구나.
What? So that she falls behind?
하나대 로스쿨 다닌 친구가 해준 얘긴데 권민호 변호사 로스쿨 시절 별명이 뭐였는지 알아?
몰라.
권모술수 권민호.
Tactician must be used as a negative connotation then, because I wouldn't really think it sounds that bad, but he obviously uses tactics for evil.
안 했어요?
말 안 했습니다.
아 미안해요. 깜빡했나?
Slipped your mind as you're there working on the case you're supposed to be doing together.
알아야 돼서 볼 게 많네요. 아 맞다. 내가 얘기했나?
오늘 의뢰인 잠깐 만난다고.
Today?
오늘
Did that
2시.
slip your mind too?
아, 또 까먹었네.
Oh, he's gonna be annoying. Look at his smug face. It's gonna make her seem so unprofessional that she doesn't know anything.
그 모르는 말들이 많아서 좀 어렵더라고요. 그래도 한 번은 정독했습니다. 그래요, 들어갑시다.
입니다. 똑바로 읽어도 거꾸로 읽어도
우영우, 저는 권민우입니다.
기러기 토마토 소스 인도인.
예.
Just completely spoke over her, man.
우리 변호사님은 어디 출신이십니까?
아, 예, 저는 칠성 부대 출신입니다. 7가지 죄를 지어야만 갈 수 있다는 칠사단 출신입니다.
야, 칠사단. 그럼 이분은 어디 나오셨을까? 포스가 뭐 해병대?
아, 아닙니다.
Does
이거 술을
every
한잔 해야 되는데.
Korean man
아쉽지만
have
이 오디집으로
to serve
건배할까요?
military service? I've heard of it in Asian countries, but I don't really know much about it. I thought it was like a drafting system where, you know, a certain amount of people get selected each year. But maybe it is everyone has to do it. Although joon-ho doesn't sound like he's done it. He looked a bit cagey when they asked him.
잘 부탁드리겠습니다.
잘 부탁드리겠습니다.
열심히 하겠습니다.
Oh my god, what is happening? Why is she so overlooked?
좋죠.
He's pissed off with him. He knows what he's doing.
바다냐 산이냐.
짜장면이냐 짬뽕이냐?
부먹이냐 찍먹이냐.
대왕고래냐 혹등고래냐?
우리가 피땀 흘려서 이렇게 기술을 개발해 놓으면은 그거를 그냥 낼름낼름 갖다 쓰고 그러면 안 되는 거거든요. 이게 한두 번이 아니에요. 이 카세트도 마찬가지고요.
카세트가 뭡니까?
그 카세트가 뭐냐면요.
압니다. 카세트 이 지폐 넣는 통이죠. 앞에 손잡이 달려 있고. 제가 부장님을 뵙기 전에 예습을 좀 했습니다.
I'm gonna be pulling that face a lot. He just wants to overrule her and flex his knowledge and make it seem like she doesn't know anything, but she didn't have the freaking time.
잘 부탁드리겠습니다.
감사히 마셨습니다.
반갑습니다.
I also don't like that he's barely acknowledged Young-woo, even though she's one of his lawyers.
카세트 실용 신안이 핵심인 사건인데 카세트가 뭔지도 모르면 되겠어?
안 되겠습니다.
다음에는 이런 일 없도록.
She doesn't want to make you look bad, and yet that's all part of his plan. He wants her to look bad. He looked so nervous for a second. Young-woo, you should have done it.
사건 자료를 미리 보지 못해서 힘들었습니다. 다음부터는 깜빡하지 말고 공유해 주십시오.
싫은데. 경쟁해요. 우병이나 나나 1년짜리 계약직들이고 우리 재계약하려면 고가 잘 받아야죠. 우영우 변호사는 재계약 이런 거 별로 관심 없죠. 관심 있는 사람이 무단결근을 그렇게 하나?
Shut up! You know she resigned. Why does he keep saying that?
그럼 우리 경쟁자가 많네. 물론 내가 또 이기고 있는 것 같지만.
Again, when were you winning the first time?
현금 자동 입출 금기 카세트의 보안 장치라는 이름으로 실용 실안을 출원했습니다. 하지만 이 기술 표절입니다. 시카고 국제 엔지니어링 페어라는 박람회가 열립니다. 2019년 박람회에서 한 미국 회사가 발표한 것이고 다른
He stole
하나는
it himself.
이와 ATM이 2020년도에 자체 개발했다고 주장하는 것입니다.
핵심 기술은 미국 회사가 개발한 건데.
저도 그렇고 우리 회사 직원 그 누구도 시카고 박람회에 간 적이 없습니다. 저런 게 있는 것도 저는 지금 처음 알았어요.
I don't believe you. This seems like it's the first time they're defending someone that doesn't necessarily deserve to be defended.
본인에게 사실관계를 확인해야 하지 않습니까?
뭐 사실대로 말을 해야 사실관계로 확인하죠. 의뢰인은 갑, 우린 을 그건 알죠. 갑, 을. 가만 보면 우영우 변호사는 조용히 해결하는 사건이 없는 것 같아. 이게 무슨 우당탕탕 우영우도 아니고.
이 겉모술수 권민우가?
Oh, the old nickname brings up old wounds, huh? This means war.
근데 뭘 물어봐요. 사실인지 거짓인지 구분도 못하면서.
될 거라고 생각을 하시나 본데요. 분명히 말씀드리지만 당신네들처럼 이렇게 수준 떨어진
I guess she kind of views law as what's right and what's wrong, but now this is treading in the territory of you have an obligation to your client to defend them, but he might not actually be a nice person who is worthy of defending.
또 거짓말을 하면 혈압이 상승해 코끝 신경 조직이 자극을 받아 코가 간지러운 느낌이 든대.
구라 좀 쳤다고 코가 커지고 긁어대는 사람이 어딨냐? 난 세상에 그런 사람 하나도 못 봤다.
My nose itches all the time, but I don't think it's because I'm lying.
내 말이 참이면 춤춤춤 실망하는 느낌이 오고
I like that they're mentioning more of the autism symptoms
하는
though.
느낌이 온다고.
Because some people don't know that it's so hard for them to read emotions and hard to make eye contact.
나는 권민우 변호사에게 지고 싶지 않다.
권민우? 그 잘생긴 사람?
어? 아니, 이준호 말고 권민우.
응. 이준호 말고 권민우. 잘생긴 사람. 이준호는 우영우를 좋아한다.
It's her that puts this idea in her head.
뭐야, 그게? 네가 그걸 어떻게 알아?
니네 낙조말 갔어 안 갔어?
갔어.
Yeah.
이준호는 우영우를 좋아한다.
We all know the answer.
야 잠깐만.
They seem like such unlikely friends. We've literally got a green flag and a red flag together.
그 우변한테는 그 아니 핸디캡이 있잖아요. 예,
Why are
그래서
you
어쩔 수 없이
mentioning
제가
that?
안고 가야 되는 부분이 생기네요.
Shut up! She's more than capable.
남들은 시간 내서 봉사활동도 가는데 예? 저도 이 정도는 해야죠.
Oh my
알겠습니까?
god. Joon-ho, say something this
아, 예.
time, please.
알겠습니다.
Oh!
페어플레이 합시다. 페어플레이. 뭐? 페어플레이?
Like you're doing with Young-woo, huh?
너나 하세요. 페어플레이.
아니 무슨 김밥이 3,500원, 4,000원씩 해? 빨리 쳐줘요.
예. 아니 안녕하세요.
Very rude customer. You don't have to stay if you don't want it.
방금 속으로 저 여성이 진상이라고 생각했습니까?
Oh no, don't shout it.
대답해 보십시오. 그럼 제가 참인지?
아니 김밥이 비싸니까 비싸다고 한 거지 진상이라니.
딸 아니에요.
Oh?
손님도 이만 나가세요.
You know that's a lie, so take that.
사람의 몸에서 가장 정직한 부분은 다리, 그 다음은 손이다.
다리,
The
그
legs.
다음은 손이요?
네.
거짓말에 속지 않으려면 매 순간 의식적으로 노력해야 합니다.
Can't tell the difference between what's true and false, as showed by when she was tricked in school when she had to read that thing. She didn't realize it was wrong.
도움이 돼요?
네. 제가 변호사님을 이해하는데 도움이 돼요.
They help us all too. That's why it needs to be spoken about more.
이준호는 우영우를 좋아한다. 사실입니까?
He was not expecting that. Come on.
그건
His hair's covering that portion. That's not fair.
황도영 부장님이 대답하기엔 너무 어려운 질문이네요.
Oh.
아,
You snuck your way out of that one. Oh no.
손님 오셨습니다.
Whoa, what happened to him?
미간도,
No!
손도.
다쳤습니다. 교통사고 났어요.
Oh no!
네, 우리 연구개발실의 배성철 팀장. 신제품을 개발한 주역입니다.
주역은요.
신제품 개발한 얘기 들으러 오셨어? 자, 일단 앉으시죠 뭐. 네.
This man looks like he's been thrown in the deep end. I think he'll be showing some signs of lying. He can't even look at her.
카세트 보안 장치는 언제 고안하셨습니까?
예? 언제냐고요? 2019년 말?
아니 왜 오늘 수집어?
Get that man on the stand.
말을 뭘 계기 이러고 있어.
Oh no, they're defending him. They shouldn't.
2019년에 열린 시카고 국제 엔지니어링 페어에 가셨습니까?
아니 근데 변호사님 너무
All the
검사
signs
같으시다.
have worked.
이렇게 눈을 신문하듯이 이렇게 하니까 뭐 우리가 꼭 범인된 것 같은데? 변호사님 우리 편이잖아요.
Legally, she might be. Mentally, maybe not.
대신 참고인이라고 부릅니다. 그리고 참고인은 증인 선서를 하지 않습니다. 다시 말해 위증을 하더라도 위증죄로 처벌받지 않습니다.
They're not under oath.
손으로 허벅지를 쓸어내리는 행동은 거짓말을 하는 것처럼 보입니다. 잘 하실 거라 기대하겠습니다.
Yeah.
예.
You can see how morally compromised she is here though. She knows it's wrong, but she wants to win now. He's instilled that competition aspect into her, and she has to beat him. I mean, Attorney Kwon would be the worst winner ever. Oh my god, he nodded at her. Oh, okay. He didn't.
제 이름은 배성철. 이화 ATM 연구개발부 팀장입니다.
Whoa, he seems so confident now.
때는 2019년 겨울, 무척이나 추웠던 11월의 어느 날이었습니다. ATM을 조작한 횡령 사건이 많았습니다. 그러다 보니 상부에서 지시가 내려왔어요.
This is a changed man. What the heck? Whoa.
지금 무슨 연극합니까? 남의 기소 갖다 쓴 걸 뻔히 아는데.
No. He's completely cracked.
그 5시에 머리를 맞대고 마음을 모아서 몇 날 며칠을 연구하고 개발했습니다.
Oh my god, he should go back into acting. That was amazing.
도전이 너무 아깝습니다.
이와 ATM에서 드리는 선물이에요. 한번 보세요. 돈 들어오는 그림 하면은 또 해바라기 아니겠습니까? 쑥쑥 자라는 해바라기처럼 쑥쑥 돈 버십시오.
That's not what life is about.
아이 여기가 딱인데. 이거 뭐 없어도 되잖아요. 외우고 계시죠?
No. Wow, that is what a metaphor. Replacing ethics with, you know, success and wealth.
좋다.
Which is kind of like this case. Her morals have been thrown out the window because she wants to win this competition with Attorney Kwon.
부자 되십시오.
네.
Wow, that's so good.
권민호 변호사님, 편지 받았습니까?
무슨 편지요? 그 기술은 미국 회사가 개발해 박람회에서 공개한 겁니다. 금강도 이화도 그 기술을 가져와 제품을 만들었어요. 소송만을 이기는 유능한 변호사가 되고 싶습니까? 아니면 진실을 밝히는 훌륭한 변호사가 되고 싶습니까?
That's the reason he sent it to her.
왜 나한텐 편지를 안 보냈지?
Because you do not have a moral compass.
이와 ATM 분들한테도 이 편지를 보여주고 설득해보면 어떻습니까? 가처분 집행 취소를 신청해달라고요.
아니 도대체 왜요?
Yeah. Oh, see. Oh, she wants everything to be fair. She wants, because when you think of the law, you think about being just and honest and right. You want to make the world fair. You want people to have a fair trial. You want the bad people to get their just desserts, and then you want the good people to receive justice. But there's so many grey areas to laws and lawyers and attorneys. It's such a taxing job, especially ethically and morally. You take on a case, you have an obligation to your client to defend them well, to your best ability. You can't let your personal feelings get in the way of a case. You kind of have to throw your moral compass and what you think is right and wrong out the window because you are getting paid. It is your job to defend the client and get them off the hook, no matter how much you agree or disagree with it. But bless young Woo, she lives in this world where everything is black and white, it's right or wrong. She hasn't really seen the morally grey areas before, and she clearly doesn't like it. She doesn't like being in the middle of right and wrong like this. Like, on the one side she's doing her job, but she's also defending someone who is in the wrong. So it's such a tough job. And like Attorney Kwon, as much as I roast him and I don't like him and whatever, he's not necessarily in the wrong here. What he's saying here is very valid. Like, why would we want them to change the injunction? We're winning this case. Like, this is what we're here to do. So he's not in the wrong here at all. The only wrong thing he's really done this episode is when he puts himself above young Woo, what he was saying on the phone about, you know, doing charity work and whatever, making those horrific comments and not giving her the materials of the case when they were first assigned it and such. He's not an evil person. He's just a very selfish person. He's someone who's out for himself. He doesn't care who he treads on as long as he comes out on top. He's just an annoying person, but he's not necessarily wrong all the time.
왜 이렇게 사고 칠 생각만 하지?
Stop saying that.
우당탕탕 우영우라고 부르지 마십시오.
권모 술수는 우변이 쓴 것 같은데.
네?
How?
참고 인증은 코치해준 거 맞죠? 아니라고 생각했으니까 진짜처럼 들리게 도와준 거 아닌가? 그게 바로 권모 술수예요.
I hate that they both have the same office decoration now.
너 권민우 변호사한테 그거 말했나 보더라?
어?
권모수스 권민우?
She's actually really nice.
나를 자꾸 우당탕탕 우영우라고 불러서.
최고 미녀 최수연?
아니야.
No.
아니야?
응. 너는
나는?
봄날의 햇살 같아.
Oh.
동기들이 날 놀리거나 속이거나 따돌리지 못하게 하려고 노력해. 지금도 너는 내 물병을 열어주고 다음에 구내식당에 또 김밥이 나오면 나한테 알려주겠다고 해. 너는 밝고 따뜻하고 봄날의 햇살 최수연이야.
That was so unexpectedly nice. The feels. She wasn't expecting that either. That's so cute. Oh my god. And she says it so matter-of-factly as well. Like, she's not looking to give her a compliment. She's just being honest. She thought about it. She's like, you are like my spring sunshine. She doesn't want to thank you or anything. She's just telling her what she thinks of her. And that's so nice. That really does show that Attorney Choi is actually a nice person. And she has been nice to her all this time. She might get frustrated and she says mean things to her every so often. And I don't appreciate that. But she has gotten better in the past few episodes. And we see less and less of that. She does truly care for Young-woo, and I don't think she ever expected for Young-woo to have been able to see her in that light. She probably didn't realise how important she is to Young-woo, because especially after seeing Young-woo's high school days where she was bullied constantly and she ended up only making one friend, to go to law school and then having Attorney Choi there, even though they weren't necessarily friends, she was still nice to her. Young-woo isn't used to that, so having her presence in law school was probably a massive thing for her, and she sees her as such a lovely person because she wasn't mean to her, she protected her, she stopped other people from bullying her, and Attorney Choi doesn't even realise how important she is to her. Oh my god, I don't think she realises herself how nice she actually is. That was such a sweet scene. Oh my god. Oh, and now you're coming to ruin it, I assume.
그 금강 사장님 증거 찾겠다고 전국 고물상을 뒤진다 어쩐다 하더니 결국 뭔가 찾아냈나 봐요.
Whoa,
현장
really?
검증이요?
You actually told her some information about the case. Is it because you need her?
납품일자가 2019년 10월 23일이네요.
A whole year earlier.
네, 이와 ATM은 이 기술로 실용실환권을 획득할 자격이 없습니다.
이대로라면 가처분은 취소될 것 같습니다.
그렇겠네. 예.
Why do you look so happy?
가처분 내려진 사이에 은행들이랑 공급 계약 대부분 다 마쳤어요. 취소돼도 큰 영향 없습니다. 이 전투에서 이기면 뭐예요? 전쟁에서 졌는데. 금강 사장도 우리가 은행들 계약 다 따낸 거 이미 알고 있을 거려. 예.
No.
가보겠습니다.
Did she not help you too? Why are you not doing anything to her? Okay. Can't blame her, man.
결국 저는
Just shows that the job isn't all sunshine and
진실을
rainbows.
알면서도 모르는 척 저 자신을 속였던 겁니다. 이기고 싶어서요. 부끄럽습니다.
No! Don't think she'd take well to comfort anyway. As much as he wants to give her a hug or a pat or something, she'd probably be like, oh. She's putting the letter on the wall? If only he knew how much he's actually impacting her. Yet he now views her as a lawyer who only wants to win in court. But that really struck her.
누구보다 반듯한 삶을 살아왔다고 자부하는데도 검증을 하신다니 긴장돼서요.
우리나라 최고 로펌의 대표였던 분이 법무부 장관 후보가 되신 적은 없었으니까요.
Where is this storyline with her heading?
후보자님 대학 동기들 사이에 오래된 소문이 하나 떠돌더라고요. 태수미 후보자님께 혼의 자식이 있다는 소문입니다. 들어보셨습니까?
시시한 가심 맞습니다.
정말 말도 안 되는 얘긴데 왜 자꾸 그런 소문이 돌까요? 어디 저를 닮은 친구가 하나 살고 있나 봅니다.
혼의 자식은 없다는 말씀으로 믿고 가도 되겠습니까?
그럼요.
She's lying. As soon as I saw they were defending a case about Mother's next episode, I knew where that was heading. So it looks like now they're really hinting at the CEO of Taesan law firm being Youngwoo's mother. Now, I don't know whether to fall for it or not because they made it seem like the CEO of Hambada was Youngwoo's mother. So there might be more twists to the tale, but in my opinion, it seemed like the CEO of Taesan was lying. So if she is lying, that means she has an illegitimate child out there, and that child could be Youngwoo. But then that poses the question of why did she leave her? Does she recognize her own child because she saw her file? Is that why they lingered so long on her name? Like, did she recognize the name of her daughter? Or was that just, oh, I don't know. If she is her mother, how could she not recognize her own daughter? Or maybe she does and that's why she hasn't contacted her. I don't know, but there's so many questions that pose there if she is actually Youngwoo's mum. And that's interesting that the CEO of Hambada knows her and must know that she is her mother too. And what about Youngwoo's father? Does he not know where her mother is? If that is her, she's local, she owns one of the biggest law firms in town. Does he not know that? Oh god. Anyway, that's not confirmed, so I won't linger on that, but that's very suspicious now. Next episode is really going to be playing into the like potential abandonment issues that Youngwoo has. Until it's explicitly mentioned, you don't really think about how being abandoned by a parent feels for the children, because Youngwoo is someone who struggles to express her emotions when they come out. That's why it hits so much harder. Like when she was speaking to Attorney Choi and she told her what she really thought of her, that was such a rare moment for Youngwoo because she doesn't normally say what she thinks of people like that. And then to see that she really holds Attorney Choi in such high regard made it so much hard hitting and so sweet, because you just don't expect those words to come out of her mouth. I low-key expected her to come up with a mean nickname for her, not a special one like that. Spring Sunshine, that's so lovely. I really want a scene of Youngwoo saying she loves her father or something like that. I want a scene like that with her dad, because I think her dad has been wanting affection or some kind of love from Youngwoo towards him for years, and I really feel like he deserves it. I really need to see that. There was no whale moment this episode or dolphin moments. There was hardly any whale mentions at all, really. Only one at the start when she was on about blue whales or humpback whales, but there was barely any whale mentions this episode, and I feel like that might have been intentional. Like, did they not show a whale moment or a dolphin moment because this case wasn't necessarily about the defendant, it was about her wanting to win the competition and beating Attorney Kwon. She kind of got blindsided by her motivation to win this episode rather than actually helping the client, and because the client wasn't someone that, you know, necessarily was worthy of defending, the whale moment wasn't needed and wasn't necessary because we're not really rooting for this case to win. At least I wasn't. It still seemed like it turned out to be a good resolution for him, even though they lost. This was the most confusing case so far for me. A lot of the jargon they were using was very confusing. Like, I would need the materials beforehand to understand this episode, because a lot of the stuff they were talking about with the ATMs and the interior and exterior stuff that was happening, like, a lot of it was lost on me, to be honest. But from what I understand, it was all part of their plan to use this case to monopolize their contracts, and they still ended up on top of the rival ATM company, and that is why, even though Gumgang won the case, he still looked so defeated at the end there and gave Youngwoo that dirty look because he is still at risk of losing his business, and she didn't do the right thing. It worries me how Youngwoo is going to cope going forward if another case like this arises. I'm not too sure on the aspects of law. I assume if she really doesn't want to do a case, she can just leave it, right? Because there's enough lawyers in the law firm, she can just be like, oh, I don't want to do this case, give it to someone else. I love that she really learned that from this case, and that this case has struck so hard with her, and she's now got that letter on her wall as a reminder. And oh my god, that scene with joon-ho at the end there, when, because all you want to do in that moment is give her a hug. Like, I wanted to hug her through the screen, and he wanted to so badly just give her a moment of comfort, but she has boundaries, and we see anytime someone hugs her or touches her, she gets so uncomfortable. So in order for him to do that, it needs to be the right moment. I think it's building up and building though that he's going to confess to her, because he didn't really answer her question when she asked him. He said, well, that's a hard question for the defendant to answer. He didn't say yes or no, so that question is still lingering in the air there, and I hope Young-woo thinks about that a bit more, because the fact that he didn't give a yes or no answer is quite telling how he really feels. But I do want him to tell her I want her to recognize her own feelings first though. I'm not even sure how she feels about him at the moment. He's clearly a very special friend to her, but I don't know if it's romantic on her part yet. She clearly likes him above the rest and thinks he's good looking. Rightly so. I don't really know how she feels towards him romantically yet. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching my reaction to episode 5 of Extraordinary Attorney Woo. If you want to watch my uncut reactions to Extraordinary Attorney Woo, the link to the Patreon page will be in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for episode 6. Bye!